So I learned something about Shoei's Pinlock setup. I have no idea if this is true for anything other than Shoei, or even anything other than whatever visor is on the RF 1200. So, which I know I think they have like 3 different visors. Maybe they're down to 2. I don't know. But I've got the Pinlock in, and I've basically had it in since excuse me. I've basically had it in since like September, and I noticed in late October, well, mid to late November, I noticed that I was starting to get a little fog seepage up through the bottom in the middle. And for those who don't know, the Pinlock insert has a bowed shape. It looks a lot like Daytona International Speedway or Talladega. You know, if you want to know what they look like, just Google either one of those and you'll see. So the bottom point was kind of helmet's out of whack. Bottom point was letting some fog in. So one day I started looking at it and I find out that it's not sealed. I thought it had to do with the weather when I put it on, so I took it out and I put it back in, thinking maybe I installed it on a really low pressure day, and then during the winter you tend to have a lot of high pressure days. So I was thinking maybe or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I put it on when it was cold and it was a higher pressure day, and then the low pressure showed up and it like burped out or something and it didn't reseal. I don't know. Well, that didn't work, and it gradually got worse and worse. So I started thinking, well, maybe it's defective. You know, maybe they sold me one that just wasn't quite cut properly. And I didn't really want to believe that because it's Shoei. they have pretty damn good quality control. And I talked to Dodge Rider about it for a few minutes because I know he's got the same shield that I've got. He's got a different helmet, but they use the same shield. And he basically agreed with me, you know, make sure it's not on upside down or whatever. And he said, well, you know, maybe something's wrong with it. So I emailed Shoei, and I emailed them right around the time they closed. Well, the guy responded to me like 5 minutes after their office opened, so they've pretty good tech support too, or customer support. And in the email, I explained what was happening. And the biggest problem, which I'm happy now this was a problem, is that you can't buy just the insert from Cycle Gear or whoever carries the visors. You can only buy the whole visor. The visor's like $70-$80. I ain't spending that much. Wow, redneck heaven. So I get the email back, and he says to look at the pin locks themselves, the pins. They might be out of adjustment. And he said, you know, you rotate one way and you rotate the other way. And I was like, holy shit, they're cams. And sure enough, I take the visor off and I look at it, and I don't know the shape of the top. It wasn't a hexagon or anything. It was this weird looking pentagon thing. But basically, you grab some pliers, pinch that bitch, and twist. And it worked. It worked perfectly. And they're hard enough to turn. And frankly, the Pinlock insert doesn't put that much pressure on them. There's quite a bit, but not enough to spin them. So that shouldn't really come out of adjustment unless you leave your visor open a lot like I do. You get a whole lot of buffeting in there. The point is, if you are having issues with your Pinlock insert, first off, you should never have to take it out. You should be able to leave it in year-round. It's not going to do a hell of a lot during the summer, but you never know. Every now and then you get a little fog during the summer, especially if it's raining. So if your Pinlock is leaking somewhere, look at the pins. Don't just grab it and twist, but look at them. If they're not perfectly round, the piece that sticks out, if it's not perfectly round, it very well may be a cam. And if you have an RF 1200 or whichever ones use the same shield as these do, I cannot remember the model number for the shield, I'm sorry. They definitely have Pinlock cams, so you can adjust it there. It was literally like a 5-second deal. It took longer to take the visor off than it did, or well, longer to take it off, put it back on again, than it did to do the adjustment, and it worked perfectly. So I'm very happy with that. And yeah, I think $75 to $80 is a little bit steep for a visor, but they've always been kind of high, especially for showy.